we actually have some things in common. What's going on here? What does this mean?
Spoiler alert again. It's that time. Today will be another spoiler video, but today we're not going to be talking about the progress of plot points necessarily. Instead, we're going to be talking about the progression of character development in their personalities.
Now, this does include a little bit of plot points. I don't think it's going to be anything that we haven't shared already in a spoiler video, but I'm going to be talking about Arnold and Reese and the conversation that they have, and how that conversation is shaped by the things that go on around it, and how it kind of explores their thought processes as characters. And then you're going to be talking about Vanessa.
Right, and Vanessa, in our conversation, we talked about Vanessa ourselves. Last week, I had started writing a scene. I had said that Vanessa had come home from softball practice. We talked about why softball, and you told me, Nathan said, she doesn't seem like the softball kind of a person. So we had to have a bit of a conversation there. And what kind of a person did you see her as instead?
I saw her more as the wannabe social media influencer who is trying to gain a following that way and has this posse of friends who work together to kind of give each other and share what little social media clout that they have and think it's a lot.
What little they have and think it's a lot. That's ideal. And as he was describing that, we thought about how that might play out in the rest of the scene. So some plot points that actually make sense there, considering Vanessa's whole character arc, at least her primary character arc, is about the desire to belong and the feeling that she mimics others so that she can fit in, and struggles to find a place that she can actually belong for who she is. And so when we think about the social media scene, what's particularly compelling to me as we talked about that was the idea of what will happen then when she moves finally into the future. What naturally will happen is she wants to pull out her phone and post about it, and she discovers that her phone is suddenly too old because they move 14 years in the future, and she can't even connect. So all of this connection that she has, the social proof, well, there's one piece of belonging gone. Secondly, the social media platform that she's used to, where she had built her following, well, that's now been taken over by the old people, the fuddy-duddies. It's changed its whole nature. She doesn't even want to belong there anymore. And she discovers that the people, looking through all the history, the people that she, part of her posse, I guess, when she disappeared from her jump to the future, she looks back and sees that they just continued on with life without her, as if nothing had ever happened. And that really begins to affect her feeling of belonging, realizing that what sliver of belonging she thought she had was really all artificial to begin with.
And so that's going to be a really interesting exploration into Vanessa's character that we set up in the beginning and explored throughout the book. But as far as Reese and Arnold, it kind of piggybacks a little bit off of who Vanessa is, because in the scene prior to the one that I'm writing, Arnold has just had this interaction with Vanessa. It's not even really a conversation because he doesn't say anything because he doesn't know what to say. He's too scared.
Panics and bails.
Right, panics and bails. And but in that conversation, or in that interaction, not a conversation, Vanessa touches his arm and communicates to him through touch. It's that same that genetically modified ability that Arnold has. She is communicating to him that she has that ability as well. So when then he goes and talks with Reese, Reese is of the mindset of, oh, she's just this cool person who's popular in the in group, and if we can connect with her, then man, we've got it in. We've got our ticket to the top as well. That's the next rung to climb on the social ladder.
Reese sees her as a tool to achieve a desired end, rather than a human being.
And that's kind of similar to how Arnold had been seeing her, as just somebody who's more popular than him.
One of the them crowd.
One of them. And what he's starting to realize as he talks with Reese about this interaction is she's not just one of them. She's actually like me. And the way that you put it was kind of, she's one of us. And it's an us that I'm just now finding out about that only includes me and her.
Right. And there's this whole new classification of people. His identity of who he belonged to has been people like Reese, this mid-social club, not completely down and out, but certainly not at the top. And she was at the top. Now there's this new classification on a whole new axis that includes just Vanessa and Arnold so far. And so now this conversation with Reese, that relationship is now different in a way that he hasn't figured out. He's still processing.
And so the challenge for me is how to portray the fact that Arnold is still processing that information in his conversation with Reese. Because he's not just going to come out and immediately say things the way we said them, because he doesn't realize that yet.
Mm-hmm.
He is realizing as he is talking with Reese, wait a minute, she's more like me than I thought she was. We actually have some things in common. What's going on here? What does this mean?
His whole identity is changing, and I had envisioned Vanessa's identity changing, but until just now I hadn't really thought about Arnold's identity is changing too.
And it's changing during the scene. And that is going to be difficult to figure out how to portray, because he's not going to know exactly what he's thinking for most, if not the whole scene. And I need to figure out how to get that across to the reader.
So those are the things that we've been working through that are spoilery related in the past few weeks. Our question for you this week is, what are things that you would like us to share more about in future spoiler videos? Let us know in the comments, and we will see you again next week.